And we begin with the latest on Hurricane Ian as it churns across Florida. It is weakened tonight, but has brought extreme flooding and wind damage. This is video from Naples, where the storm surge left cars floating down the streets as water rushed into homes, trapping residents there. At a hospital in the town of Port Charlotte, they were hit from both above and below, with the ER flooded and their roof torn off. Florida's governor calling Ian one of the strongest storms to ever hit the state. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Tonight, more than 2 million people are without power in the Sunshine State as cities and counties issue curfews to keep everybody except first responders out of the water and off the streets. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. Matt, officials talking about catastrophic damage. I imagine we're going to see more as the sun comes up, and Ian is not done yet.
No, it's weakening, but it's certainly not done. And historically, this will end up being ranked right up there with Charlie, with Andrew back in, 92. So it is a historic storm for sure. And catastrophic really is the word, as we will see with daylight tomorrow. Now you can see the center of it marching across Florida right now. It has weakened quite a bit, and the west coast of Florida is thankfully out of the heavy rain and the strongest winds. But this isn't the end of Ian. It's going to emerge in the Atlantic and then hit the southeastern states, South Carolina and Georgia, with more rain and storm surge in the days ahead as we go into the weekend. But right now it's a Category 1, winds down to barely hurricane strength, about 75 miles an hour. Keep in mind, though, it is 2 o'clock in the morning East Coast time, so this thing has been a hurricane over Florida for 14 hours. It made landfall at about noon our time, so I guess that's about 9 hours so far. But nonetheless, still a really strong storm. Even though it continues to weaken, it'll remain a Category 1, then emerge right over the Space Coast, Cape Kennedy, Cape Canaveral. They already mothballed the attempt to launch the Artemis rocket, in case you're wondering about that. I'm sure NASA has that safe. But look, the track takes it out of the open ocean, so it'll remain an intact tropical storm, and then another landfall likely up around Savannah, Georgia, as we go into Friday. So that's the latest on the strength of Ian, a Category 1. Look at this video, though. High resolution, 1-minute imagery of the eye. You can see clear down to the ocean surface there. Just goes to show you the power. These things are literally heat and energy engines. Now, the storm report's unbelievable. We had gusts of 120 miles an hour on the west coast. We're also getting tornadoes that were near Melbourne, all kinds of storm surge issues, all kinds of wind damage issues around the state as well. The rainfall going forward at Daytona Beach, another 8 inches or so. Then the big plume, 6, 8, 10 inches across South and North Carolina and parts of Georgia. So again, it is weakening, but it's not done yet. David?
All right, thanks, Matt. And meanwhile, a team of volunteers from here in the Portland area have already landed in Florida, with even more of them on standby. Our Alma McCarty caught up with some folks with the Red Cross who say they are ready to go.
In North Portland, it's the calm before the storm for Chris and Amber Schwartzkopf. The couple packing light and standing by.
Found some Converse waterproof shoes this year that I'm going to take with me
to volunteer for the American Red Cross.
We're preparing to go to Florida for the hurricane. Ian. That means getting on a plane, flying to wherever they send us. We may be as far north as Georgia. We'll be in Georgia for 2 weeks. We might be in South Florida for 2 weeks, anywhere in between.
They're used to this, waiting to see where the storm hits and leaving at a moment's notice to where they're needed most after a natural disaster.
But they do update you every morning. What's going on, what they're expecting.
Amber's volunteered for 2 years. Chris for 4, helping at shelters and with logistics.
We saw this one last week. I told her, oh, this one's coming up. And they had it pegged to come towards Florida. So, yeah, we were hoping we get to go.
Several Red Cross volunteers are already on the ground assisting, like Jackie Nicholas, a volunteer from Sweet Home. She flew out Tuesday.
You just go in there as calm as you can, very positive, just put yourself in their shoes.
Hurricane Ian has brought high winds and flooding, knocking out power to millions of customers.
It not only takes folks to restore power, fix infrastructure, save lives, it also takes folks setting up those entire support systems to hopefully get folks back on their feet as quickly as possible.
The Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office sent 13 people from its incident management team to assist.
We are lucky and fortunate that we actually have some folks that have done this before. This is not our first deployment to support a hurricane. We've supported Katrina, Sandy, and Michael in the past.
For Amber and Chris, their past experience has also prepared them for what they might see and taught them to appreciate living in Oregon.
Makes you so much more grateful of the types of weather that we just
Yeah.
almost never see.
Now, the Schwarzkopfs are, as you can imagine, big advocates for volunteering. They're encouraging anyone interested to join the Red Cross. The organization provides training and support to those who want to join their disaster action team. David?
You know, hats off to them for being willing to reach out and volunteer. Thank you, Alma. If you'd like to donate to the Red Cross to help with Hurricane Ian relief efforts, you know what to do. Just scan that code on your screen. It'll direct you right to the link. We also have that up for you on KGW.com. Stay with us, by the way, for continuing coverage on air and online as we track Ian across Florida and beyond and talk about the recovery that's about to get underway. Let's move to the race for Oregon governor now, where a new poll has Democrat Tina Kotek and Republican Christine Drazan in a statistical dead heat. Now, 32% of likely voters surveyed said they'd vote for Drazan. 31% said they'd vote for Kotek. That is within the margin of error. Unaffiliated candidate Betsy Johnson trailing with 18%, though keep in mind 15% said they were undecided. The poll, which surveyed 600 likely Oregon voters, was commissioned by the Oregonian and conducted by DHM Research. And we'll be hearing much more from all three candidates when KGW and the Oregonian host our debate in the race for governor. That is 3 weeks from today on Wednesday, October 19th, right here on KGW. And meanwhile, in local election news, Portland City Council candidate Renee Gonzalez is pushing back against a $77,000 fine. It's from Portland's small donor elections program over office space. The Gonzalez campaign rented downtown for $250 a month. The city says the space has a market value of $6,900 a month and calls that huge discount an illegal in-kind contribution. The Gonzalez campaign says this doesn't go against city campaign finance rules and argues the fine should actually be waived. The building is owned by Jordan Schnitzer, who says he offered to rent the space to Gonzalez because nobody else was interested. And Gonzalez, by the way, looking to unseat incumbent Joanne Hardesty. I'll be moderating a debate between the two, with KGW hosting in partnership with the City Club of Portland. You can watch that live Friday at noon on KGW.com or on our mobile app. And we'll have highlights Friday evening right here, as well as on a special edition of Straight Talk. Well, current City Commissioner Dan Ryan and other local leaders gave an update tonight on the city's plans to open more safe rest villages. As part of a virtual town hall on homelessness, Ryan said there are 2 more safe rest sites now under construction. That includes one at Menlo Park in East Portland on Ash Street and an RV park on Northeast Sunderland. Now, the first new safe rest village opened in Multnomah Village earlier this year. Commissioner Ryan says these villages aren't meant to be permanent.
So some people say, well, it's not really adding a lot of capacity. Well, they're not meant for people to, it's not their end point. It's anywhere from a 3 to a 9-month assessment period, if you will. You may be a low barrier when you come in, but that's not the goal. The goal is to meet people where they are and provide services so they can build their resilience and move forward.
Well, 3 other safe rest village sites are still in the planning stage. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. A 26-year-old man is facing murder charges tonight for allegedly shooting and killing his twin brother. Portland police say Martre Martin fatally shot his brother Martrez outside of a hotel on Northeast Sandy Boulevard around 3:30 Sunday morning. Now, U.S. Marshals tracked down Martre and arrested him in Renton, Washington last night. Another big blow to business in a troubled part of Portland. Stanford's Restaurant and Bar announced it is temporarily closing its Jansen Beach location due to what it calls safety and security concerns. This comes about 2 months after the Cracker Barrel there on Hayden Island abruptly shut its doors for similar reasons. It is unclear how long Stanford's is planning to stay closed. And Portland is getting more than $1 million in federal funds to redevelop the city's Pride Plaza. That is the downtown area around Southwest Harvey Milk Street and West Burnside between 10th and 12th Avenues. The funds are coming from the American Rescue Plan. The redesign will include construction of a new park with the hope of revitalizing that part of downtown. Well, new at 11, a big push to get more funding for the David Douglas School District. And this evening, neighbors held a volunteer kickoff to spread the word about a proposed bond That'll be on the November ballot. Now, if passed, the measure would raise more than $100 million. That would go to things like safety upgrades and repairs to buildings that the district says are in need of some serious renovations.
Our oldest school is actually built in 1932, so we have a lot of deferred maintenance out here, and we know that bonds are how capital construction projects get done, right? There's only so much we can do with our annual budget. We need support from the community to make sure our kids are safe.
The district's plan for the bond would include HVAC upgrades, a new career center at the high school campus, and a preschool program.